Velenkosini Hlabisa is the president of the Inkatha Freedom Party. The steamroller has been rolling in KwaZulu-Natal in by-elections, Mr. Hlabisa, but there are some interesting commentaries coming through now to say you might be running out of momentum because of what happened in the Estcourt area. But let's just go back a little. When we last spoke 4 months ago, you were on the move. During the period since November 2021's local elections, you have won 8 seats, 8 wards against the ANC. Was this something unusual to you, or is it part of a plan coming together?
Are you referring to where? Into Estcourt?
No, we'll get to Estcourt in a moment.
Okay.
Up to Estcourt, there were 8. Estcourt was the first time that you actually lost a seat to somebody else. And there's an interesting story there, I'm sure.
Yes.
But up to that, there were 8 times that you gave the ANC, you took away a ward that the ANC had won in 2021. So that's quite a lot of momentum.
Yeah, no, Alec, thank you very much to you as well as the viewers of this interview. Indeed, since 2021 local government elections, the IFP has been doing very well and is still going to do very well. We had planned, you will remember in the last interview I had with you, that we have a plan. As I speak with you, our plan now encompasses 2024, 2026, and 2029. It's 3 elections in a pack. And to see whether are we going to achieve our desired goal in 2024, we said we will use the by-elections as a measuring stick. The results are good because we have gone to the strongholds of the ANC and took their votes and left them surprised as to how this happened all of a sudden. And there are even areas where we are still going to be doing very well should by-elections occur, simply because when we do the listening campaigns, we go to areas which we know are ANC strongholds, and people endorse the IFP, and they say, we wish elections were tomorrow because the councillors of the ANC are not doing us any good service. We wish elections were tomorrow so that we give this ward to the hands of the IFP, because we see in the wards where you are in control, service delivery is done and accountability is done. So now, the new approach we are doing is listening campaigns. Just go meet people, touch people, talk to them, taxi rank on the streets, in the locations, in the villages, deep in the rural areas, just to ask them, how do you feel? What do you think the government should do better? We are targeting the areas under control by the ANC, and the response is amazing. That is why we are saying we look forward to whatever by-election can come between now and 2024, which will be an indicator how people endorse the IFP.
It's been a really good story, but up until last week, in the one ward, Ward 14, in Nkosi Langa Libalele Estcourt area, where you lost to the ANC for the first time. So you gave up a ward for the very first time. What happened there?
Yeah, something very strange happened at Ward 14 under Nkosi Langa Libalele. On the election day, there was a time where the the voting process was brought into a standstill because the ruling party in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, they brought food where people must confirm to them that they will vote for the ANC when they get inside, and some were even caused to take photos of how they voted inside the voting station and come and get a parcel of food when they go out. As I speak to you, the IFP registered an objection in Ward 14 because there is evidence. There are pictures where people were campaigned through using food parcels. As we know, many people go to bed with empty stomach. When you provide food there and there, to some it might not mean anything to take a vote and give to someone who is giving food now. It was very unfortunate, but that is part of the elections, that sometimes you do all what you can do to engage people, but a last moment attempt by your opposition happens to swing people the other way around. We wouldn't mind as IFP if people say, no, this time around we are opting for Party B. But if people are persuaded through food parcels, and as we know, the circumstances in which they are, it makes us painful to see that some political parties use poverty as a way to win votes, not winning people voluntarily. We hope IEC is going to engage the matter on the basis of evidence in front of them. But now we are looking forward to the by-election on the 19th of July at Mtwenjaneni, which has been the ANC ward, and we are confident that people of that ward at Mtwenjaneni will endorse the IFP to be the party governing that ward.
It's extraordinary, but we've seen similar incidents in the past, certainly with Chris Papas's Mgeni, where there were some dirty tricks on that side as well. What is your recourse apart from going to the IAC? And I guess what one should be looking forward to is in 2024, if this tactic is used throughout the rural areas, will you also start giving people food parcels?
Well, you see, the by-election is different because all the resources are channeled into one area. You can see that at Nkosikazi and Balele, they only targeted one ward with food parcels and everything. No political party can be able to supply food parcels throughout the country in 2024. But if it is a by-election, it is possible to get someone who can donate to deal with that only ward. We are confident that the millions of people in South Africa whom we will be talking to will heed to our call that elections next year is a watershed moment for our people. Because if we want to stop crime, want to stop unemployment, load shedding, the growing inflation, poverty, poor service delivery by the government, the only opportunity we have to save South Africa from becoming a failed state is the elections next year. We will try to simplify our message that don't fall into a trap of someone who gives you food over the election day, because that person doesn't do so prior election and post elections. Clearly, that person has no interest of your livelihood in his or her heart, the right thing to do, take that food, but on the voting station, vote for an alternative government that will bring change to all the challenges that you see the government of the day has failed. 30 years now, we shouldn't be having unemployed graduates in South Africa. The majority of our youth is sitting at home. Our people are unemployed. Crime, everybody lives in fear. Whether you have a car, you drive your car in fear on the road. Whether you are a pedestrian, you walk on our streets in fear. Whether you are staying at home, you have fear that someone might break in any time. We shouldn't have a country which is a crime zone, a crime scene, and whenever a crime has been committed, very little happens to arrest the responsible people.
It's an interesting perspective that you give there. Also, I guess the irony being the people who've created the poverty are using poverty to get votes. But if we look at the announcement that came out yesterday from John Steenhuisen of the Democratic Alliance, when he said that for the first time, political leaders, yourself included, will be working in unison on the 16th to 17th of August. You're getting together at the venue where Codesa was held with another 6 parties, and to have a look at how you have a united front going forward. How optimistic are you that the middle of next month you'll come to a conclusion which will be something solid that you can take into the 2024 election and win?
It is very possible because all political parties have come to a clear understanding. One, the ruling party has failed our country and our people. As long as we remain disunited as the opposition bloc, we will not be able to send a message to the people of South Africa of an alternative. The reason why we felt we must meet earlier, we want to give assurance to people of South Africa that coalition government work. People might want to refer us to City of Johannesburg and any other municipality. I'm citing City of Johannesburg because if Johannesburg was a country, we would be a joke. A motion of no confidence, one after the other. Almost in 16 months, you have 4 mayors in the City of Johannesburg. So if it was a country, South Africa, we will be a joke in the world. Now, we want to convey a message to our people that if you do not prepare on time for a coalition government, definitely it will not work. But if you prepare on time, we are going to be inviting for experts from countries around the globe. Some of them are from countries where coalition governments have been in place for close to 100 years. And in some other countries, divergent political parties able to form a sustainable government which able to finish its term of office. Now, it all depends on preparation done on time, because coalition says you must make compromise on certain things. But generally, when you look at the needs of the people of South Africa, they want a government that is going to deal with crime, deal with load shedding, provide job opportunities so that the unemployed youth get employed. So now, all these parties, if we have a common view that this must be done, there could be very little where we don't agree, I'm very confident, therefore, we will find common ground, because behind the scenes, we have been engaging each other with these political parties, and we know some of them will join later next year, and some of them will join immediately when the results are announced in 2024. Because the only disadvantage in South Africa, you have only 14 days to constitute the government after the announcement of the results, which is a very short period if you want to form a coalition government, because from the look of things, the ruling party will hardly be able to get more than 50%, looking at the extent the load shedding has devastated small businesses and medium businesses, which closed down, and also even big businesses are making very little when it comes to profit, because now they have to run the engine to get things going, and there is no one who is responsible for this except the government of the day. So now there is 14 million people who are registered voters who has lost hope and are no longer participating in the voting process. We will be appealing to these people because we know them in terms of the voters' role. Who are they? Where are they? That is why we say during the listening campaign, we get into a process of face-to-face with one person or one family so that we understand. Because some of them say, but what does it help? Because even if we vote, we are unable to remove a government that has failed. And then eventually they decide not to go and vote. And therefore we say the answer is there. If you do not go and cast your vote, the government you do not want will remain in power until the 14 million people who have abstained from voting, they go to the polls and cast their votes against the government that has failed them. Is the only way we can remove them. It has been demonstrated in the local government sphere, like 2021, the governing party was swept away from a number of municipalities they were in charge of, and they must thank the COVID, not in a good way. It was a devastating factor, but it caused political parties not to be able to be on the ground to mobilize support. So now we all went to elections having not done good groundwork to ask the voters to vote for an alternative in order to remove the local governments that had failed them. We have enough time now going to elections next year. We are not facing any disaster or any challenge as a country. We are able to reach each and everyone to send a clear message and a simple message that if you do not go and vote, someone else will decide for your future. But if you go and vote and cast your vote, you are deciding who should determine your future as a government of the day.
Some political analysts are pointing to the fact that with your growth at the IFP, you will become a very attractive partner, coalition partner for the ANC. Is that something that you would consider?
You know, Alec, the IFP has a background of the government of national unity in 1994, which included the ANC. It will be a very difficult decision to make to get into a coalition with the ANC for these reasons. The Zondo Commission outcome, the ANC will have to demonstrate that indeed it is fighting against corruption. You can't talk against corruption and then you go into a coalition government with a political party that is synonymous to the word corruption. The ANC has destroyed, has failed our country. Look at the load shedding, crime, and unemployment. Now, if you get into a coalition with a party that has failed to change things over a period of 30 years, what would you say to the voters as to why? Because some people would say, we voted for you to remove a failed government. Now you take us back to that government that failed. That is why I'm saying it will be a very difficult decision to make. In terms of background, as you know, IFP was founded on the principles of the ANC as propounded in 1912. There is a very easy thing between the two parties to work together for a good cause, as it happened in 1994. But the current ANC is in a bad state. If people will mobilize them to remove them from power, and thereafter, after the elections, you bring them back to power, and it will be some kind of a contradiction. Next time, people might say, no, we're not going to vote for you because we gave you our vote and you brought back the person whom we wanted to take out from the government. It really should be, it will be a very difficult decision. It may be easy from the point of view of analysts, but from a political and practical point of view, it will be difficult.
And just to close off with, after 2024, yourself with your coalition with the Democratic Alliance, which appears to be working pretty well at local level in a number of municipalities, would surely give you enough votes to win the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Is that a top priority for you?
All our campaign and activities in KwaZulu-Natal per se, we want to get a full mandate from the voters, because a coalition government does have challenges. It's better if you got a full mandate of the majority from the voters. We are going to be working very hard as our first priority, get the majority support of the people of KwaZulu-Natal. And we feel it is something very possible because we have re-looked at the numbers. We now know the areas in eThekwini Metro and Pietermaritzburg, because those two areas constitute 43% of the voters in KwaZulu-Natal. And we have identified the areas that we must make inroads so that, because we can do well from Tugela River to the north, but if we have not done well in eThekwini and Pietermaritzburg, we might find it difficult to get the majority support. So our first priority is to get majority support as a single political party. Of course, if voters do not give us that vote, that majority, we will obviously have to look at the coalition government. Our first choice will be people whom we are working with.
President of the IFP, Velenkosini Hlabisa, and I'm Alec Hogg from biznews.com.